Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Olive Orchard podcast about nothing important, really. I'm just here with stories, advice, chats, and lighthearted ramblings for your background entertainment. I'm Autumn, crochet fashion designer, host of this podcast, and my mom used to make all my Halloween costumes, some of which included a flower, a moth, an octopus, a bunny, and a dragon. Thanks for tuning in to my little radio show. Hope you're doing all right. So I am back. It's been a couple of months. Our microphone went defective, and so I had to, do the whole Amazon return process, and we just now got a new one back. Thankfully, they did replace it. And yeah, so I had to take a little hiatus. But we're doing okay. And I'm back in time for October. So this episode is going to be a little mishmash of different things. I'm going to talk about my experience at the Rainbow Gathering back when I was 10 years old. I'm currently 23. So that was a long time ago. I will try to bring forth all the memories that I can muster up. But yeah, and then I'm going to talk about some eco-friendly fall decor or just, budget-friendly ideas and things you can do to not contribute to the overconsumption and capitalism and all of that good stuff. So yeah, and then we're going to finish off with a little spooky story. A lot of you have probably heard of it, but I'm going to save that for the end. And if you haven't heard of it, then that'll be a nice surprise and a nice new story you could tell to your friends. So let's get into it. I'll go ahead and start off with some updates. Well, currently I am here in my living room, and it is a bright day, but it's kind of cloudy. I'm actually gonna be knitting today. This is the first knit piece I ever have done, and well, actually I did make a rectangle before and turned that into a hat, but this is the first actual wearable piece that I've knit, and it is a V-neck vest, chunky style, and I finished it a few months ago, except I think I messed up something on the sleeves, and like the sleeve ribbing was too loose, but I didn't have a chance to fix it because I needed to get into making some Halloween stuff, which I will mention now. I've got 5 Halloween pieces in my shop. I just finished them. They are a standard size small, but that fits more like a medium, more like a men's small, women's medium, in my personal sizing guide. So I've got a Frankenstein cardigan, which is different scraps and things that I have put together, and it's got little false stitching on it. It's super cute, and it has a pocket. And then there are 2 ghost cardigans. It's got they glow in the dark ghosts all over, and there's a black one with purple buttons and a red one with black buttons, and the red one is actually made with vintage yarn from the 80s, so that's really cool, and also maybe a little bit spooky, but that's really cool if you like vintage stuff. It's a cute little novelty idea about it. And then I've got 2 vests up for sale. One of them is green with dark green trim, and it's got pumpkins around it. And the other one is a tan light brown with a rust colored trim, and it's got candy corn on it. And those are both super cute. They are cropped. The sweaters are full length, the vests are cropped, and they're available in my shop on autumnolive.com. And then also there are still a few pieces available from last year's Halloween stuff. There is a Calico Cats cardigan, which is made in orange, black, and white. And then there's also a Boo ghost cardigan, if you ever played the Mario games, the little ghost that covers its eyes. And that one also glows in the dark. It's pink, and it's got the spooky Boo on one side and then the shy Boo on the other side. And then there's also a bucket hat with glow-in-the-dark cats and a couple of fall-themed stickers. So definitely check that out if you're interested. And yeah, I've also got my classic Halloween patterns. They are available as well. So yeah, lots of fun things to check out for the spooky season coming up. If you have listened to my last few updates, you'll know that I got a dog over the summer. He's now 7 months. His name is Moose, and he is a brown pit bull. And he's doing great. He's such a cutie. He's so funny. And I looked into this local daycare center, and they evaluated him, and he is... he's not aggressive at all, but he's like too eager and too overly friendly. So, other dogs don't like that, and that's not part of the ideal behavior at the facility. So, because he'll just like go up to the other dogs and just be too eager, and then, not give them a chance to sniff him, get to know him and stuff. And so then they might turn around and nip him in order to correct the behavior. So I've been taking him to training classes that they offer, and also like a little Saturday social, which is cute. We all take our dogs to this like fake backyard and then walk around in a circle, and then the dogs get to play and stuff. So that's been fun. And yeah, I'm hoping that he will be able to get into the daycare at some point, just to get some socialization in, and, give me a break, give my cats some time to roam around stress-free. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, he's a great addition to my little family, and happy to have him. And hopefully he's almost full grown, so hopefully I'll be able to make him a sweater soon this cold season. I didn't want to make it too soon because he is growing like a weed. So by the time I would even finish it, he'd probably be too snug in it. So I was just holding off on that. All right, so let's move on. We'll do some recommendations. So something to eat. I recently found this recipe. So I bought some plain Greek yogurt because I realized that it was a great source of protein, high protein, low fat, and I got the sugar-free kind, just unsweetened plain. I don't really like it on its own. I don't think many people do. But I wanted to get a plain one so that I could see what I could do with it, use it in like cooking. So I've done a few things with it, like I've made chickpea tuna salad and then use the Greek yogurt rather than mayonnaise. I don't even like mayonnaise. But the Greek yogurt is a great ingredient to bind it, or whatever mayonnaise is meant to do with that. I've never really eaten tuna salad before this, but yeah. And then I kind of played around to try to make a sort of salad dressing. I came up with like watering it down with a little bit of milk and then adding some ranch seasoning. I mean, if you like ranch dressing, that's fine. Just use the ranch, but this is just an alternative. Of course, it's not going to be the same as ranch dressing, but with ranch seasoning and everything, it does make a good high protein substitute. And I also made a different type of salad dressing, sort of a vinaigrette type of thing, I mixed it with the brine from a jar of olives. Call it gross, whatever, but It's pretty good. I don't really have salad dressing. I usually just use like oil, vinegar, salt, pepper. But, since I bought the yogurt with the intent to experiment with it, these are the results of my experimentations. And so I also came across this recipe for 2-ingredient dough, and it's essentially just 1 part Greek yogurt and 1 part flour, self-rising flour. If you don't have self-rising flour, you can add, I think it's a teaspoon of baking powder plus a teaspoon of salt to make it self-rising per 1 cup of flour. So 1 part yogurt, 1 part self-rising flour. And this dough, it's really cool. It kind of tastes like sourdough because of the yogurt, but you can do so much with it. You can make pizza dough, you can make rolls, you can make bagels. I played around with it and I made some cinnamon rolls. You can make pretzel bites. And it's just, I don't know, maybe I'm a little overly obsessed with it, but I thought it was really cool because it's super easy to make. 2 ingredients, you can't get more simple than that. And it cooks in 30 minutes or less. And I think it's cool that it's so versatile, So you could check that out if you just look up 2-ingredient dough. There is just a recipe that you should find right away. And yeah, so I've been making rolls with that. It's recommended on the recipe page. Maybe it's not best for a whole loaf of bread, but I did make like a skinny loaf, like a baguette, and that came out pretty well. So yeah, the idea kind of came to me to look into that because I wanted to make some bread. I don't have yeast. I've never bought yeast. Bread is the only thing I've ever seen needing yeast that I've wanted to make, but I was like, there's got to be another way. So between that and just trying to experiment with the yogurt, I came up with this, and that's what I've been using for bread for a few weeks now. So yeah, check it out if you are interested. If you like sourdough bread, this would be right up your alley. Okay, next, a recommendation of something to watch, and that will be Gilmore Girls. This is a 20-year-old show, so nothing new. And also, I'm not quite sure if this is because I just started watching it, and so like the little TikTok elves are showing me more stuff about Gilmore Girls because I've been watching it, or simply just because it's fall, or simply just because maybe it started trending. I'm not sure, but I've seen people on TikTok starting to watch it too. I honestly do not like TikTok. I'm trying to stay off of it. But yeah, I've seen people on TikTok watching it lately. It is a very fall type of show. Every season kind of revolves around mainly fall. So not sure if it's just a coincidence or what, but it's definitely very cozy. I spent the month watching that. It's got 7 seasons. So personally, I love a long show. It just means less time stressing about what to watch. And yeah, it basically follows a mom and daughter who are like best friends. They have such a good relationship. And then the mom's relationship with the grandma is a little less than perfect, but they throughout the show, it shows everybody trying to get along and stuff. It's a drama / comedy. The comedy is more like dad jokes, corny humor, one-liners, stuff like that. But definitely a few laughs. I don't know. It's a really old show, so there's a lot of references too from like things in the 90s that I wasn't really here for. So, you know, if you can get past that. I mean, there was a few references I get, but, you know, just like with any old show, you'll come across something like that. But anyway, that's what I spent the month watching, and I would recommend it if it sounds interesting to you. There was also a nearly 10-year revival done on Netflix, which was interesting to watch immediately after the first version, because then suddenly everybody's 10 years older, and that one was in 2016, so it was like way more references that I got, looking at, you know, the style from 2016 and kind of looking back on how much things have changed in just 6 years. So that was pretty cool and super interesting that they were able to get so many of the characters back, and like the props and the sets. I mean, I'm sure it's been done, but I don't know. I haven't really watched that many shows or movies in general, so I'm not sure how common it is to revive something 10 years later, but I don't know. It was really impressive. I don't know if they had to actually like recreate the props, or if there's some kind of special storage situation that they do for big shows like that. But pretty neat. So yeah. Okay, next, something to listen to. I stumbled upon this cute little album. It's, I guess I would describe it as like cutesy house music. It's called Donut County by Daniel Kostner. And then there was another artist on there as well. But it was a pretty long album. It's got like, I don't know, 20 or 30 songs, and there was like themes of like raccoons and stuff. I didn't know. It was really cute, and I like to listen to like house or lo-fi stuff like that when I'm in work mode with like numbers and words in my head, and where lyrics could be distracting. So check that out if you're into that kind of music. Something I'm grateful for: living across from a grocery store, especially since now I've moved to somewhere where it snows quite a bit. That will come in handy for when it's all snowy outside and the roads are bad. It'll be nice to just scoot across the street in the car or walk there if needed. But yeah, it's definitely a privilege. Next, here are a couple of reviews from my Mabel Pines pattern. Finding this made me cry happy tears. I'm obsessed with Gravity Falls, and now I can live my Mabel life. How cute is that? And another one, I love this pattern. So far it's been easy to read and execute. I'm used to making amigurumi, and I've always been too intimidated to try making sweaters, despite many tries. But I'm feeling confident with this one. Thank you. So thank you guys for those reviews. I am always grateful for reviews, especially when you go into detail about what you like about it or what you don't like about it. It really helps me to know what to improve and, you know, what to mention to people who are inquiring about a pattern. Okay, so now I'm going to get into the main topic here, or one of the two, the Rainbow Gathering. So let's see. If you don't know what this is, I mean, I didn't really know what it was when I was 10 either. You know, my grandparents were all alive during the hippie times, and so the Rainbow Gathering, you know, I still don't really have an exact definition for you, but it's basically like a traveling gathering. They do it in a new state every year, and It's kind of like in a secluded location. So I guess, the moving and hiding is to avoid like authorities and stuff. But yeah, it's just kind of like a self-sustaining thing. Like they don't use money. They don't, they just go and they set up camps from scratch, literally trees and linens. They set up their own like dishwashing stations. And, I guess it's kind of held together by a few main leaders. And it lasts, I don't know, maybe it lasts for a month or the whole summer. I only stayed for about a week, less than a week. But anyway, so that's kind of the basis of it. And it's just kind of like you can go, you can be free, nudity is allowed, whatever. So I guess that's what it is. I mean, I was 10 when I went, so whatever perceptions I was having of it was that of a 10-year-old. So, I'm sure things were going on that I didn't realize and so on. But anyway, so it was probably June or July. And I was living with my dad and his girlfriend at the time. And suddenly the power went out. And I don't know, one of them decided, well, hey, let's, the rainbow gathering is going on and all of our food is about to go bad anyway because of the power outage. So why don't we hit the road? So we were living in Virginia at the time. And the rainbow gathering that year was occurring in Tennessee. And I had never been to Tennessee before. Probably it's sort of right next to Virginia. So it wasn't that long of a drive, probably a 5-hour drive or so. So, we packed up the food that was good and hit the road. And so I remember it was so hot and you have to park the car, and then what I didn't realize is that it was like a long trek into the woods, deep into the woods where the actual gathering was. So, I mean, I was pretty out of shape as a 10-year-old. So what seemed like, I don't know, 3 or 5 miles of a hike, maybe it was 1 mile, I don't know, but it seemed to be like up this long hill. It was never ending. It was so hot. I don't think any of us 3 realized how long it was. So I don't know if we actually carried enough like drinks or whatever, because I remember when we got there, we met up with my dad's brother who was already there, and I got an orange Gatorade out of the cooler. Never really drank Gatorade, but that orange Gatorade was the best drink I had ever had. It was the most satisfying, thirst quenching drink of my life. It was like liquid gold, and I can still remember the taste of that orange Gatorade. So if I were to get a Gatorade nowadays, I would definitely go for an orange one, just because of how magical it felt after hiking 5 miles in the heat. Yeah, so anyways, at the rainbow gathering, there were these well-known elders, and they would always go nude. And yeah, I don't really know the story behind them, but maybe they were the ones who started it. Maybe they were just like the main leaders. But I remember thinking that was quite amusing. But yeah, like I said, everything was made from scratch. So they had like their own dishwashing systems, like a whole water plumbing setup. They did not have porta potties or toilets. They had ditches that were dug into the ground and little signs nearby and they called it the shitter. And Well, let's just say I was not expecting that, and the hygiene of it all was a milk jug with bleach water, diluted bleach, and little holes poked in the top. So I guess you're supposed to do your business and then shake some bleach water on your hands. I was not into that aspect, but moving on. There were also trading areas. Like I said, there was no like money involved. So, if you needed some toilet paper, well, then go ahead and trade a Cliff Bar. They had little like rows of like trading posts and stuff. It was pretty cool. And then my favorite thing was random pocket trade. So like say that you're walking along a path. They had different stations, like different like gathering areas, hangout places, eating places, just like little clearings in the woods. So, say you're walking along the path to get from one place to another and somebody else is walking the other way, you can say random pocket trade. And, if you have a couple trinkets, I think I don't know what I traded, but I traded something and then got like a little bracelet from somebody. I thought it was so cool that I was like hoping to implement it at school when I got back to school, but it never took off. And then there was like, I think you were meant to get your own meals for breakfast and lunch, but there was a communal dinner. When I was 10, I was into more modern fast foods. So they were serving things like, I don't know, whole wheat rolls and lentils and beans and soup. I ate it obviously because we didn't have anything else to eat. And I would totally eat that stuff nowadays. But back then I was like really wanting some chicken tenders. Yeah, it was pretty cool nonetheless. And there was a guy who had like a canister of yeast. I guess it was nutritional yeast. And I have experience with being vegan, and I was vegan on and off for like 5 years or so. And nutritional yeast is like a huge thing in the vegan community and the vegan diet. It's got a kind of cheesy, nutty flavor, and it's like a little yellow flake powder. So I think that's what they were using. I don't know if I ever requested it, but anyways, he would go around, everybody was like a huge field of people sitting in like a spiral. And so he would walk around shaking the container, yeast, does anybody want yeast on their lentils? I remember that well. But yeah, anyways, so we stayed there for about, I think it was 6 days that we stayed there. And then we decided to head back home. And I remember on the way back home, we stopped at this gas station. We were entering back into civilization. And, my dad, I was kind of on the same, diet as my dad. He was into like meat and, hearty foods. He wasn't quite into the lentils and stuff either. So, we got a big basket of chicken tenders and fries to celebrate going back into civilization. Totally defeats whatever purpose was being one with nature, but it was a fun experience, and I was definitely glad to be home in the air conditioning with fresh air, clothes, a toilet. But yeah, that was the experience that I had there at the Rainbow Gathering. I don't know. I haven't heard of it since. It's definitely kind of a low-key thing. I haven't heard anybody talking about it in my circle. But, I'm sure for those who are in the know, you would know where it's happening and whatnot. I didn't know about it. I don't know if I would have gone if I did know about it. But, I don't know, quite an experience for sure. Definitely don't regret it, I guess. So, let's switch topics here a bit. Eco-friendly, budget-friendly, non-consumerist, fall decoration ideas. So, ever since I moved into an apartment and started living on my own, I thought it seems counterintuitive to have decorations, like seasonal decorations, because what are you supposed to do with them in the off season? Like, I mean, I quite like fall and Halloween, so I'm happy to keep those up for a few months that it's fall, but Christmas decorations and, like, I don't know, Valentine's decorations, you see it all the time on, like, influencers and stuff because, well, that's just the vibe, you know. The season changes and, you know, lots of people like to change the decorations around their homes. And I like it too, but I don't want, you know, a big bin, several bins worth of decorations that are just collecting dust for 9 months out of the year. So, what can you do differently? Well, for fall, first things first, you can check the thrift store or ask around, like, friends and stuff, or like Facebook Marketplace, and see if there's anything that somebody else doesn't want. Because, I mean, a spiderweb decoration from last year or 5 years ago is just as good as the one this year. You know, we know that with clothes and fast fashion, micro trends and stuff, things are changing every week, every month. But holiday decorations are one and the same. You know, the only thing that changes is just who's designing it that year. You know, who at the big business is designing it, and it's all the same. You know, it's always the same. It's just slightly different. So, you know, check the local consignment, check the local thrift stores, or check in with your friends and see if anybody has any kind of decor that they want to get rid of. And that would be a great first step. Second of all, you can check local flower shops or just, you know, your local grocery store and get real flowers that are fall themed. Or you can even go outside and, I mean, wouldn't it be just as pretty to get, you know, a couple different colored leaves, like on branches, or little like wreaths that you find outside. I think that, you know, fall foliage can be even more beautiful than flowers. You know what I mean? So, you know, you can check that out. Picking it yourself, you know, it just seems like all the fall magic you could want in a vase. You can purchase pumpkins and gourds at the store rather than getting fake ones. And then you can find some kind of recipe. You know, it doesn't have to be pumpkin pie. You can make pumpkin soup, or like I've seen pumpkin pasta. You can make pumpkin brownies. You can make roasted gourd and other vegetables. You know, find a recipe and use them up before they, you know, sit there and rot on your counter. That would be fun. When you're at the thrift store or wherever else, you know, you don't even need to buy a specific dish for this, but just, you know, if you can find a fall or Halloween themed dish, you can put out baked goods. You know, you can bake pumpkin cookies and then display them, or you can make yogurt rolls and display them, and that's just such a cozy addition, having something freshly baked in your kitchen. How nice is that? Okay, and think small, you don't have to be a pro crafter to work on DIY stuff. You can simply, like, I don't know, think of even like preschool stuff. Like, you can decorate pieces of paper, you can print off coloring pages and color with your kids and hang that up to decorate. You can make little magnets, make a painting. You could do something like you don't even have to be good at painting. You can just take some fall colors, make some blobs on the page, and then make little outlines with Sharpie or another color of paint, and make little sloppy doodles of like ghosts and pumpkins on the blobs. Anybody else looking at your painting is not going to see it the same way you do. So don't be scared. Don't be afraid. Sitting at home doing hands-on activities is so good for you. So much better than like just looking at a screen. It's fun. It's fun. You can do it alone. You can do it for, quality time with yourself, or you can do it with your family and, create some memories. And then, you didn't spend anything. So if you want to throw it away at the end of the season, then you don't have to feel guilty about being wasteful, because it was just, a few craft supplies that you whipped up, you enjoyed, you used them. It's not even wasteful because you got use out of it. You had fun and you had a nice decoration for the season. You can get rid of it and do it again next year. And then you don't have things collecting dust in your storage. Another tip, I don't know if this would work in everybody's home, but for my home, I've collected different pieces of furniture over time. So I tend to have a few different types of furniture. I have some my living room is mainly black metal, and my bedroom is also kind of dark, but I've got some wooden stuff, and basically what I'm saying is you can, if it's possible, you can rotate out furniture or lamps. If you have a room in your home that's a little bit more got wood colored or earthy tones, you can consider rotating out some of the furniture so that you've switched to more woodsy tones for your living room. And that's a good little cost-free idea, is just to rotate out things. Or if you have different colored towels, you can pull out the earth tones or whatever. Maybe that's just a given, I don't know, but that's something that I've done a little bit of. I have this fall foliage painting that I did a long time ago, and it doesn't always suit the aesthetic of my home, but I do pull it out during fall. I don't know if you are watching this, you can see it behind me, part of it at least, but it doesn't always suit my home, but for fall it does. And so I'm happy to bring it out and display it during this time of the year. For example, just think outside the box. If you need a new fall type of centerpiece for your table, you can bring out some fall themed or even fall colored books, for example, and then you can get a mini pumpkin at the grocery store and put it on top, and that will cost you $1, depending on the cost of the pumpkin. If you already have books or you already have this or that, you can just bring it out and put it on display. Even if you normally wouldn't have books on your coffee table, consider, just books on their own are definitely match the theme, but if you have books that have red or orange or brown covers, then that's even more suitable. Or you could even swap, if you have a lamp in your living room, you could swap to a softer bulb or a yellow bulb, and, bring some warm energy into the room. But yeah, those are just a few ideas that I have. I love to be resourceful and avoid spending money when I can, and avoid clogging up closet space when I can. So I don't really have any fall decor. I have, like this autumn colored blanket that I crocheted, and I've switched that out to my couch, and a spiderweb blanket that I bought. But, those are things that you can use all year round if you're into it. And so, I don't know. If you love to buy fall decor, that's totally fine. But I know a lot of people are concerned or even unaware of, the problem we have of overconsumption, and I'm just not into it. So, if you want to go and buy things, that's totally fine. But just be mindful and be wise, and try to only buy things that you truly want and you truly like and that bring you joy. And then if you don't want them anymore, please do bring them to a thrift store to donate them, or maybe you can drop them off, like if you have a family member in like a elderly home, or even just like an apartment complex. You can always give it to them to put out in the lobby, and then somebody can enjoy it for free. Okay, so now let's wrap this up. I'm going to tell you a quick little story. I remember finding this story when I was in 2nd grade. It was the scariest story that I have ever heard, and it still gives me chills. Now, I think what's so scary about it, well, let's analyze it afterwards, but without further ado, this is a kid's story, so, I don't know, I guess it's not maybe the scariest thing I've ever heard, but it's really creepy, and for the fact that it's such a short and simple story, it's very creepy. So it's called The Girl Who Wears the Green Ribbon, and like I said, it's pretty common. You might have already heard of it, but I'll tell it anyway. It'll probably still give you chills. So once there was a young girl named Jenny, and Jenny always wore a green ribbon around her neck. No matter the season, no matter what she was wearing, she always wore her beloved green ribbon. Through her school years, she met a boy named Alfred, and Alfred and Jenny got along so well, and they eventually fell in love. They grew up together, and then they got married. And Alfred always wondered why Jenny always wore this green ribbon. He would ask her about it from time to time, and she always refused to tell him. And he just let it be, and, they grew old, and they lived happily, and they really enjoyed their life. And finally, in her old age, Alfred asked again, while Jenny was on her deathbed, "Jenny, please, won't you tell me why you always wear this green ribbon?" And Jenny said, "Okay, Alfred, go ahead and untie the green ribbon." So Alfred reached forward and he untied the green ribbon around Jenny's neck, and Jenny's head fell off. That gives me such chills. I don't know. I think what's scary about it is the fact that it's like the fear of the unknown. Like, you can never truly know a person. And I think that's what's so creepy about it, is because it's one of those things that it's like, it's not inherently creepy. It's not like ghosts and monsters and spiders. It's just like, it's like, whoa, like she was hiding that all along. It's a kid's story, but it's, you can always poke fun about how in the world did he not know, and she always wore this ribbon. How did she, go swimming and stuff, and how the hell did her head stay on all this time? But I don't know. Something about that story, it just gets under my skin. I got chills reciting that story. I don't know if you did, but I don't know. If you haven't heard of it, go tell a friend. If you have heard of it, well, then you had a good childhood. Yeah, I found it in second grade, and I remember it clearly. I remember sitting in the library when I read it, and yeah, it was definitely my favorite. Still is my favorite. I tried to think of a couple of others that I remember. I don't really remember any that well. I'm going to try to come up with a couple for my next episode. And in my next episode, I'm hoping to do an episode with my dad where we discuss the movie that we made. My dad co-directed this vampire film. It was like a low budget film we did in a small town. And I was the main character, one of the main characters, and I played a vampire. So I'm hoping to get him on to talk about that, and then maybe we can read some scary stories. But yeah, that'll be fun. Anyway, thank you for listening. That's all I have. The cover art of the podcast was drawn by me on Procreate. The intro and outro music was done by my boyfriend. Check out my YouTube for video episodes of this podcast and free crochet tutorials. Visit autumnolive.com to shop crochet pieces, patterns, and free patterns as well. Follow my Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, Etsy, and Ribbler, all at Autumn Olive Crochet. And you can find this podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. And you can email in regards to this show, the Olive Orchard Podcast at gmail.com. If you are still listening, you know that I provide you a life hack. And this one is pretty simple, but it's to keep baskets and old boxes in your car so that if you are in a situation where you need to carry a bunch of stuff into your house, it makes it super easy to do so. I always carry a laundry basket in my car, and then when I go to do groceries, it's super easy to just throw all the bags in the laundry basket, and it allows me to carry a lot more without cutting off my circulation by carrying 5 bags on my arm. So yeah, hopefully that helps you in some way. And have a nice day. Thank you for listening. Bye.